Hello. It is a beautiful day again out here in Orangeville. So I have ventured back outside, spent a little bit of time in the sun for the live stream today. It's been pretty good. It's the 25th today, right? Yeah, the 25th. Holy cow. Alright. Well, that means that there's only, including today's, 6 chapters left in Proverbs. So we can either restart back at number 1, or we could read something else. I haven't quite made a decision yet. No one's really given me their opinion. One of the things I am also kind of wondering is the live stream better out here, outside in the back, or do you guys like it in the room with the cats and a little less wind and birds and stuff? Let me know. But yeah, before we get started today, I want to pray, and then we'll get started with Jesus calling. AJC, awesome Jesus Christ. I thank you that technology can help us connect. And as we get into a word inspired by your word, I pray that we can learn something and connect with something. Then as we read your word, I pray that there's something in there that can speak to us as well, that you can use this opportunity to focus our minds and our hearts on you and how we can glorify you this day. I thank you that the sun is shining, that the birds are singing, that I can sit back outside, and that it can be a nice day. Lord, you are awesome, and I thank you for the little joys that we have each and every day. May we find something to be grateful for. May we learn what to say no to. May we find an opportunity for rest, to be still and to know that you are God. And when opportunities come up, not to be lazy, but to take action. I pray that we can know the difference and follow through. And I pray for your guidance, wisdom, and direction there. All right. Well, thank you. The prayer was a little bit of a summary of some of the things that God's been kind of teaching as well over the last little bit. So, Jesus is calling for April 25th. This, with reading this paper, I don't know if it's showing up in camera or not, but this is bright. So that's my face now. Yeah, my face totally lights up just having this book open. Anyways, it's a little hard to look at right now, so if I take a second or two, bear with me, please. But April 25th. Make me your focal point as you move through this day, just as a spinning ballerina must keep returning her eyes to a given point to maintain her balance, so you must keep returning your focus to me. Circumstances are in flux, and the world seems to be whirling around you. The only way to keep your balance is to fix your eyes on me, the one who never changes. If you gaze too long at your circumstances, you will become dizzy and confused. Look to me, refreshing yourself in my presence, and keep your steps, and your steps will be steady and sure. So I want to reread that last part. Look to me, refreshing yourself in my presence, and your steps will be steady and sure. So 3 Bible verses inspired that. First one here. Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endures the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Hebrews 12:2. And then, but you remain the same, and your years will never end. Psalm 102:27. And then lastly, this then is how we know that we belong to the truth, and how we set our hearts at rest in his presence whenever our hearts condemn us. For God is greater than our hearts, and he knows everything. 1 John 3:19 and 20. And I even prayed that a little bit today. But it's a good reminder that that momentary spot when a ballerina spins, she refocuses on the same spot to keep her balance each time. As we go through the day, if we can kind of bring our eyes focused back on God as the day is going along, then hopefully that'll help us stay true and continue doing things and bring glory to God in the activities throughout the day. So once again, while I'm out here, we'll be turning to Proverbs 25 in a moment, so I'll give you guys a chance to pull that up if you haven't. And a lot of people have requested to see Sassy again. So Sassy, hey. Hey, yeah, you like being out here. You were digging, weren't you? She loves. There's a groundhog out here, so she loves to dig. Isn't that right, Sassy? Yeah. You have a muddy face. Yeah. Muddy face. Yeah, and sorry. We're right on the edge of where my Wi-Fi reaches and doesn't reach. So if I've cut in and out a couple times there, it's because, it's connecting and reconnecting with the Wi-Fi. But yeah. All right. Proverbs 25. As my page flops everywhere. So there's a little section that I want to read before we get to it. It's in this version of the Bible, the Jesus-centered Bible here. There's little parts that say like reframing Jesus. So there's a section here in from 6 and 7. So it doesn't say that it like directly connects, but yeah. Anyways, I'm going to read that, and then we'll read 25. So it also gives you guys an extra little bit to find Proverbs 25 for you. So Proverbs 25, 6 to 7, choosing humility over status and symbol. Everybody wants to feel important and to be recognized, especially by the right people. But when we try too hard to get noticed, it can backfire. It's better to let your actions speak for you than to try to convince others that you deserve their respect. This is such an important lesson that Jesus shared with his own followers in the form of a parable in Luke 14:17-11. There were certain status symbols in Jesus' day that could enhance a person's reputation, just like there are today. If you were invited to a certain social gathering or were seated in the right place, then people would view you as important. For instance, if your seat was close to the VIP, then you were obviously someone that others should get to know. You would receive special attention from all the other guests. People who wanted to feel important would often push their way to the head of the table so others would think they were successful. Jesus condemns this type of behavior and tells his listeners to focus on humility, the true path of greatness and reconciliation. So that refers specifically to these two verses. Don't demand an audience with the king or push for a place among the great. It is better to wait for an invitation to the head of the table than to be sent away in public disgrace. So it refers to it, but it doesn't really refer to it. Anyways. All right. So Proverbs 25, and we're going to get started. These are more Proverbs of Solomon, collected by the advisors of King Hezekiah of Judah. It's God's privilege to conceal things and the king's privilege to discover them. No one can comprehend the height of heaven, the depth of the earth, or all that goes on in the king's mind. Remove the impurities from silver, and the sterling will be ready for the silversmith. Remove the wicked from the king's court, and his reign will be made secure by justice. Don't demand an audience with the king, or push for a place among the great. It is better to wait for an invitation to the head of the table than to be set away in public disgrace just because you've seen something. Don't be in a hurry to go to court. Wait for what you will do in the end. If your neighbor deals you a shameful defeat, for what will you do in the end if your neighbor deals you a shameful defeat? Sorry about that. The break between 7 and 8 just felt awkward, and then I was like, I don't know how to read that. So it's all good. Okay, continuing back at 9. When arguing with your neighbor, don't betray another person's secret. Others may accuse you of gossip, and you will never regain your good reputation. Timely advice is lovely, like golden apples in a silver basket. To one who listens, valid criticism is like gold earring or other gold jewelry. Trustworthy messengers refresh like snow in summer. They revive the spirit of their employer. A person who promises a gift but doesn't give it is like clouds and wind that bring no rain. Patience can persuade a prince, and soft speech can break bones. Do you like honey? Don't eat too much, or it'll make you sick. Don't visit your neighbors too often, or you will wear out your welcome. Telling lies about others is as harmful as hitting them with an axe, wounding them with a sword, or shooting them with a sharp arrow. Putting confidence in an unreliable person in times of trouble is like chewing with a broken tooth or walking on a lame foot. Singing cheerful songs to a person with a heavy heart is like taking someone's coat in cold weather or pouring vinegar in a wound. Your enemies are hungry. If your enemies are hungry, give them food to eat. If they are thirsty, give them water to drink. You will heap burning coals of shame on their heads, and the Lord will reward you. Surely, as a north wind brings rain, soon gossiping tongues cause anger. It's better to live alone in the corner of an attic than with a quarrelsome wife in a lovely home. Good news from far away is like cold water to the thirsty. If the godly give to the wicked, it's like polluting a foundation or muddying a spring. It's not good to eat too much honey, and it's not good to seek honors for yourself. A person without self-control is like a city with broken down walls. So there's a couple things in that that kind of jumped out at me, and one that I kind of want to share context that I've recently learned too. So telling lies about someone in verse 18 here. Telling lies about someone is as harmful as hitting them with an axe, wounding them with a sword, or shooting them with a sharp arrow. At the door, working in some of the high schools, that whole telling lies about someone, I see that time and time again, and friendships have lost, and people get really upset, rightfully so, about lies that are being told about them. And it's one of those things where, like, one, the truth will come out, they're shooting themselves in the foot, but when you're on that receiving end, it can be so devastating, especially when it's from someone that you trust, and it can hurt them so much. And sometimes we do a lot without really considering the other person. So when you're telling lies, or you're tempted to tell a lie, what's the motive behind it? And that's something that I really want to challenge you, because that's one of the things that unfortunately happens way too often, especially in our teen years and early adult years, where sometimes that's just a form of like social currency for some reason. And I've never been able to understand it. I've been working with high schoolers for over 12 years. I spent a bunch of time in high school myself. Never really been able to fully wrap my head around why. And putting confidence in an unreliable person in times of trouble is like chewing with a broken tooth, which really sucks, and walking with a lame foot, which also really sucks. And in today, around the world, it's really easy just to point out our leaders and feel like we're putting our trust in unreliable people depending on our political stance. And that sucks. If you're full on like, yeah, our leader's great, but then you see other people that are anguishing and just posting a lot of really troubling things this time, it might just be because they really do feel like they're unreliable. And that just, I don't know, that verse helped me emphasize with people. I feel like Canada is doing a pretty good job. I don't want to get super political or anything, but I'm not a big Trudeau fan, but I think he's doing a pretty good job in our current time. There are definitely some things about how he's handled it that I don't like, but for the people that are really kind of doing things, I like look and I roll my eyes and I just continue to roll through. But this gives me a little bit of empathy for them, because I know some people not only have the issues that I have, but have even bigger ones and are way more passionate and way more in tune with some of those things. And it just helps give me a little bit of empathy. The big one that I want to get into is 21 and 22. But I want to, this whole idea in 24 of it is better to live alone in the corner of an attic than with a quarrelsome wife in a lovely home. That kind of theme has come up about relationships and happiness and joy versus worldly success. We like and comfort, right? A lot of them, it's like it says it essentially, it's better to be poor and happy than rich and miserable. That's what a lot of them have been, but this one in particular kind of highlights singleness, right? It's better to be alone in a small place than to have this big, awesome place with a woman that you don't like. And there's a lot of memes about relationships where the people in it you just feel are tortured, and there's not a lot of love there for their significant other. Don't rush to be in a relationship because it's socially acceptable. Don't rush to be married because of outside pressures. The Bible actually does a lot to lift up singleness. And I think as a Christian community, we don't do a good enough job of that. And like, there's actually a Bible verse in Matthew where it says it's better to not marry, which is a verse that I actually wanted to be read out at my wedding. But you know, there can be a lot of pressures to do stuff to fit in, and you can get married for all the wrong reasons. And I don't think there's enough people out there lifting up these parts of the Bible that actually talk about, you know what, it is okay not to be married. If you are constantly fighting in this relationship, maybe it's not worthwhile. If you are considering getting married, I strongly consider doing premarital counseling. It is amazing. Candace and I did it. It got us to target some really good questions, some challenging questions, and it helped us get the best possible start to the rest of our lives. By no means am I saying that marriage is not a good thing. I do believe in it. And when done with the right motives, in a very focused and deliberate manner, it can be amazing. But far too often, there's a lot of hollow and shallow reasons, and instead of wanting to put in the work, people tend to just complain, and especially complain to others. Like, as a husband, you know, so many times there's jokes like, oh, my wife just nags all the time, and it's just like, well, if these jokes and these ads that get brought to me, and like, it's just like, if that's what marriage is, no wonder so many people are not believing in it anymore. Like, what kind of hope are we really offering when marriage is settled, doesn't really mean anything, and it's not willing to really stand the test of time and struggle and challenges that come with it? Marriage is work. But if you're just going to sit back and complain and fold your hands and be lazy about it, poverty will strike you in your relationships, especially in a marriage. If you're a parent, it'll definitely strike you. As an employer, so on and so forth. All right, so shift gears. I want to go back. So if you can read 21 and 22 with me. I've always loved this verse, and I've recently had a new context brought to my attention, and I wanted to share that with you. So, if your enemies are hungry, give them food to eat. If they are thirsty, give them water to drink. You will heap burning coals of shame on their heads, and the Lord will reward you. So there's a couple things. One, this kind of goes back to the whole like, love your enemies. Isaiah 58, it also goes back to with the whole feed the hungry, clothe the hungry. Jesus talks about whatever you do for the least of these, you do for me also. So there's a bunch of different references and things that this is connected to right here. And it shows God's heart even in the Old Testament, which so often we can get muddied by and lose sight of when we're talking about the Old Testament. But the specific part that got reframed for me recently is that you will heap burning coals of shame on their heads, and the Lord will reward you. The burning coals, I always saw, like, you know, kill them with kindness type deal is how that's been translated. And for a while, when people were mean to me, I was just going to try to be overly nice to them. That didn't necessarily always work the way I wanted it to, but there has been times when that has. But the whole idea of burning coals, so one of the things that would happen a lot in the way that they heated their homes was they'd always have some sort of like a coal fire going on, and if their fireplace and their coals went out, their place would get cold. So if your enemies are doing this, and then they come to you in shame, they come to you like this, you're like, yeah, I will warm your house, I will give you this necessity, So it's less about, like hurting them, but helping them, humbling them when you do this. So when they come to you, they're cold and needy. Warm their home. Do that. Today's day and age, would be like pay their gas bill, which we're all kind of doing for everyone that lost a job right now through our taxes. But that whole idea of it's not just, hey, I'm going to do that. When I'm nice to you, I'm going to be so nice that it hurts. It's going to be, no, I'm going to be so nice to you. It's going to warm you and your family, your children. It's going to have you be able to get rest, and it's going to look after like that whole place. You're not going to freeze in the middle of the night. Your kids aren't going to freeze in the middle of the night, because I'm going to provide your house with warmth. If you really need it, I'm going to look after your whole family. And it's shameful that you neglected your family in a way, that you let your fire go out. But it's okay. God's love flows through me so that I can warm my enemy's home. I can look after my enemy's family. If that were the case. And I was just like, it's cool. I didn't think about them as... I didn't think about how, the coals warm their home and what that can mean, and that reframing of, yeah, you might be my enemy, but I'm still going to show love, and I'm going to heat your whole home. I'm going to give you the spark to reignite the fire, reignite the coals, reignite the warmth. Because sometimes when, you and me are feuding, well, then that affects, it affects a lot more than just you and I. It has that ripple effect. And this is saying, like, when you extend that love, that forgiveness, that help towards the enemy, it also has that ripple effect. And that was just kind of a reframing that I was like, you know what, I really, really like that. I never really considered that before. I always saw it as that simple kill them with kindness. But it's more than just kill them with kindness. It's warm their whole home. Look after their whole family by giving them a few of your coals to help warm their whole home. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't mean as significant of a difference, but I don't know. For me, I was just like, oh, that's actually really cool. I like that. That is the Proverbs and the devotion for today, that refocus on God. There's a lot of great truth nuggets throughout Proverbs, so hopefully something connected with you. I'm going to pray to close out the day the way that I like to do it, by walking over to the stream. It's probably pretty low right now, but that's okay. Sassy is still trying to dig a little bit. But yeah, all right. Let's take you down by the river. And then, once again, hey Ryan, and Samantha, thanks for joining. So the water's not really flowing today, but that's okay. We're still by the stream. AJC. Awesome. Jesus Christ. I thank you. One, that the sun is shining, the birds are chirping. I don't know why the Canadian flag is at half-mast today. If you're remembering something, maybe the Nova Scotia shooting, I don't know. But I lift up whatever's going on and why that's there. I'm sure I can find out in a couple seconds after this is done, and I can look it up. For our fellow citizens and friends and families that are in Nova Scotia, I lift them up as they're feeling the brunt of the actions of that gentleman last week. And I pray for the shooter's family and friends, that I'm sure this blindsided them. It's hard to imagine someone that you know and care about is capable of such a feat. And then all the emotions of just knowing and being associated with that person. The guilt can be unbearable, so I lift them all up. I thank you so much for the life of the police officer that did give their life. And everyone on the front lines, all the police officers that are doing what they can with the knowledge that they have to keep us safe. Most of them have taken that job not for a power trip, but to serve and protect. And for all the military personnel, especially the military personnel that probably signed up to fight some wars, and they're fighting a war with an unknown, an unseen enemy in nursing homes now, as the military is helping to care for the elderly and the least among these. I lift up all the PSWs and healthcare workers, especially in the homes that have been hit with COVID-19, but the ones that haven't. The fear and the uncertainty in dealing with such vulnerable people. I lift up all the non-for-profits that can't be holding the fundraisers, and I don't mean just the door. There's a lot more than just the door that are wondering how they're going to stay afloat. There's a lot of small businesses, Lord, that have been hit financially. I lift them all up to you. Lord, there's so much need right now, and I pray that we can turn to you, that we can find moments of being thankful, and we can celebrate. We can celebrate the small victories. Lord, help us celebrate the small victories. Thank you that the sun is shining on my face, that I have the ability to go outside. I pray that we can inspire and care and love for one another in these new, unique ways. And for those that haven't found a routine yet, help us find a routine, Lord. Help, Lord, to keep us safe. I lift up all the healthcare workers, the ones in the hospital. I pray for all the people in all the grocery stores, convenience stores, your Walmarts, your car centers. Cars are all still on the road. Essential workers need to go to and fro. Couples and families going for walks and going for drives just to break up the monotony. I thank you that we can connect through things like Google Meets and Zoom and Discord and Facebook. I thank you for all the people that have been moved to volunteer. The food bank, Lord, and everyone that's working at the food banks across the world right now. And today, before I came out here, I was looking at a picture of Chikabutso. I can't imagine how his family and how his country are really dealing with everything. So I lift up Chikabutso. I pray for protection, for safety, and for knowledge for him and his family and his country on how to work with this global pandemic. Thank you, Lord, that you can use us, whether that's staying in and social distancing properly, to bigger things. You're awesome, Lord. Thank you very much. And yeah. All right. So if you have any prayer requests, please send them in. I would love to pray for you. If you like it inside or outside, let me know. Yeah, you guys are great. thank you very much. If you want a Bible or anything like that, let me know. But yeah, all right. I am outie. Sassy is venturing into this side, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, especially since the fence is down. Hey, Sassy. Hey. All right. Well, yeah, there it is. It's weird because it's half down. If you guys know why the flag is half down, send me a private message. But I'm gonna look it up once I can. All right. Thank you. Bye.